Good afternoon, everybody. It is April 15th, 7:30 p.m., and we have a lot going on with a ton of severe weather coming up. We had a long break for a little while, but it appears as though we are going to pick back up right into full swing. It's gonna get crazy, and it's gonna get crazy fast from starting off today all the way through. I think they have it out to the 7th day outlook, maybe the 6th. I don't know. We'll get there in just a second, but y'all stay along because there's gonna be a lot to cover in a lot of different places, and it's gonna be a lot to pay attention to. So try to stick with it as you can. Okay, starting off, we're gonna look at the National Weather Service's outlook. Starting at today, April 15th, we're looking at a marginal risk up here on the north side of the East Coast. Not a lot going on, just a 1 out of 5 up there, but it is something to keep an eye on. I think at this point it's 7:30 p.m., so I think a lot of it has already moved off. I'm a little late. I thought I was going to be streaming earlier. Moving on to tomorrow, April 16th. Looks like we have a 1 out of 5. Might get adjusted to a 2 out of 5. I wouldn't be surprised, but I don't see it being very likely. Right here, this is in Central. This is in part of it is in Kansas. We got Oklahoma. We got it all over the place. So this is also going to be something to keep an eye on in the case that you are anywhere in this area, especially if it gets evolved to a level 2. As of now, no tornado percentages. Like all of the areas are less than 2, so that's also to keep an eye on. Moving on to day 3, I will be out chasing for this. So I think if we're talking the Discord server, I will not be running the Discord server, but more sending in photos and live updates and stuff like that. I should be live on the YouTube channel, and I should be live on the TikTok for this storm outbreak. I'll be driving out to Iowa and hoping. Okay, I'm not gonna say I'll drive out to Iowa just due to the fact that nothing's confirmed yet. This is day 3. This is gonna be the 17th. A lot is still It's still undecided. This could get above to an enhanced, a moderate. This could go to a high for all we know. There's a lot that's unpredicted. Models are showing 6 different things, and it's a lot to keep track of. Moving forward, we're going to look at the 18th. This is going to be Friday. We have a long French fry looking risk. This is going to be a more wind and hail driven threat that stretches from Michigan all the way down to Texas, looking at around Fort Worth. This is going to go through Oklahoma, Arkansas, Missouri, Illinois, and Indiana. Also, parts of northwestern Ohio. Moving on to day 5, we have the same French fry risk, but it looks to be just a little farther south, with the main threat being Texas. Our biggest concern right now is going to be if that low pressure system can move in far enough, it's going to be that central Texas. Moving back into Arkansas, into Kentucky, and then also Tennessee. Day 6, on the other hand, a lot is still undecided. This is going to be April 20th. Our central threat for the 20th is this thing covers Arkansas. So this 15% is directly over the middle of Arkansas. We have parts of northeastern Texas. We have Louisiana, again, Tennessee, Kentucky, Missouri. All these places right in here. I wouldn't be too concerned yet. I'd stay prepared, but I wouldn't be too concerned yet, given that this is also still 5 days out and there's a lot undecided. It's just something to keep an eye on, not to be scared for yet. Moving back to short term, we're going to look at CAPE first. CAPE is the first thing I'm interested in. So for our moderate or our low risk tomorrow, the 1 out of 5, CAPE, there's not going to be a ton of CAPE here. This looks at like about 1,000 joules per kilogram. And then moving into the Iowa outbreak, day 2, there's going to be a little more CAPE here. Still not a ton. Still not a ton. CAPE might be an issue for these storms, maybe making them a little harder to fire up. If they can get fired up, I wouldn't be surprised to see an isolated tornado or two, but again, big hail and wind threat. Next thing that's important to a storm is going to be the dew points. So looking at our dew points for the risk for tomorrow, dew points are going to be in the low to mid 50s. Not the best dew points for storms. They do need to be a little higher, like high to low high 50s, low 60s is where you ideally want them. Looking at our day 2, dew points will be there in the low to mid 60s. I have a feeling that if they do issue an enhanced, it's going to be down here, a little farther south from where they initially had the outlook. But this dew point does stick around for a little while. This is going to be I have a feeling these storms are going to be overnight, so a lot of nocturnals, but it is something to keep an eye on. Moving to our next thing, this is going to be our jet stream, what's causing all of these storms, and you will see our cause right over here, dropping down up and over, and ending up being somewhere right in here that is taking all this warm, dry air in the Gulf of Mexico and driving it up, which is our dew points, causing us to have these risks, and here's the winds right here increasing right over our area. Moving to our next thing, this is going to be what radars could look like over the next 2 to 3 days. So looking at tomorrow's outbreak, we do see a couple storms firing up. So this is over the 1 out of 5 risk area. We do have a couple storms firing up. Nothing major. It doesn't look like anything major, but it is still something to keep an eye on as you move out through the day. So this is looking into the overnight hours of the 17th and 18th. We do have something popping up in central Iowa, moving off into Wisconsin and northern Illinois. So that is something to keep an eye on. We do have 2 models that are showing the exact same thing. So that is, we're getting closer to having some decision making to do. Moving to the next part is going to be total rainfall. So looking at for tomorrow, here's the rain that's going to come off that storm. So here's another model that's showing that storms are going to be likely there. And then moving into the next day, you see more rain here, start right over here and form right over here, showing our Iowa storm as well. So that we have more models showing that these storms that they say are going to be here are going to be here and what location around. Moving to our next part, one of the more important things, this is the supercell composite rate. So this is how good the environment will be for supercells to grow and form just starting off. So for tomorrow's outbreak, not actually too bad. There is enough there for a supercell to form and thrive off of for a little while, but it also looks short-lived. So these storms are going to have a minimal time gap to produce. If they were to produce a tornado, it'd have to be almost right after they form in order to do something. Okay, so moving into the next day, this is going to be day 2 with a slight risk already. Or this is going to be day 3 with a slight risk already. Again, it looks farther south. So if there's cells that are managing to form farther south by the dew point, all that stuff, they will thrive in this environment and end up probably having the better chance of producing a tornado. So it is something to keep an eye on if you're living on this border in Iowa, anywhere in that area, it's good to keep an eye on. Another thing that we're going to look at is the amount of energy that's going to be in the atmosphere for these tornadoes and or storms to thrive off of. So for tomorrow, not bad. Again, quite a bit of energy. Moving off to the next day, you see the big blob pop up. There's a lot of energy there. It's more about if the storms can form and where they form, if they'll be able to take use of that energy. But that is also something to keep an eye on because all of our conditions are matching up here. So another key thing to any sort of tornado forming is going to be the amount of wind shear that's in the air in order for these storms to form. So going into tomorrow, it's like I said before, and I'll say it again, it's going to be a very small threat of a tornado, but if it can get started, it'll do it. And then moving into the next day, this is what interests me, is the amount of wind shear that ends up popping up right where these storms are supposed to go through. So there will be enough wind shear for these tornadoes to thrive off of if they can manage to get themselves to the ground. Now we're going to look at the storm reflectivity. So this is going to be for tomorrow's outbreak. We do see a little bit of a big bulge pop up here and move off. So there is enough energy here for storms to do something. And then for the next threat, again, a lot of the threat looks to stay to west side of the southwest and west side of Iowa is going to be, I think, where these storms will have the best chance of producing a tornado, and that's where you're going to want to keep your eyes on. The next thing to be aware of is the temperature roller coaster that we've had going on during April, and it actually looks quite good so far. So as we move into the future, this is 17th, 18th, you see this complete switch. Initially, before we were having a pattern where there was cold air over here in the east and warm air in the west. Well, that high pressure system is now moving off to the east, and now the east has the warm pressure or the warm air, and the west has the colder air. And this is going to be what's going to create a lot of our storms, is when the warm is over here and that we have a high risk dominating on this side and a low risk dominating on this side. It moves over the Rockies, and any low pressure system to make it over the Rockies has a way better chance of making a storm of any sort, severe storm, than a low pressure system coming out of Canada. Last thing to check that a lot of people end up moving over is the amount of humidity that will be in the air. And it does appear that, again, there is humidity here, but it's short-lived. It's very short-lived. So these storms are going to have to make and produce these tornadoes almost right away in order for something to happen. Same thing with day 3, the Iowa outbreak is looking, it looks like the stuff stays there a while longer, but it's about all the other conditions and if they will stay there a while longer as well. So that is also something to keep an eye on. Moving to our 6 to 10 day temperature outlook, it looks like we have the exact pattern that the temperature outlook was showing us, where we have a lot of above normal warm temperatures in the east and are below or near normal temperatures in the west. And that will be something big for our severe storms to be able to thrive off of as they come in over the ocean. Now, 6 to 10 day precipitation outlook, West Coast seems to actually dry out quite a bit. The center of the United States, so Oklahoma, Texas, Arkansas, above average rainfall, which is not good because Arkansas, Oklahoma, Texas, they don't need any more rain than they've already gotten with the amount of flooding that's been going on. And so basically the entire central United States will be above average for precipitation in the next 6 to 10 days. And then going farther out, we're going to look at the 3 to 4 week precipitation outlook. This looks like mainly the Midwest, Wisconsin, Illinois, Missouri, and then Iowa will be, parts of Minnesota as well will be above average precipitation, like way above average. And then again, the West Coast and then the deep south Dixie Alley will be below. And now we're going to see Dixie Alley down here. We're going to see a lot of it cool off now that we're making not as many horrible severe weather outbreaks like we've been seeing throughout April. But it should cool off now that the storm season is finished. Their storm season is finishing up down there. They're still going to have severe weather, don't get me wrong. But it's not going to be where all the severe storms are focused down there. We should move back into our traditional tornado alley right around this area. And hopefully we can get less rain to this area so they stop flooding as much. With all that, that's all the weather news I have for you right now. This is going to end up being a longer video, I think. I have no clue. But I will end up putting it together and we'll see at that point. But I should be making a video tomorrow. Thursday is undecided because it depends where I'm going and when I'm going there. I may be able to upload Thursday. I might be on the road Thursday. I have no clue. I will be putting live updates in the Discord, though, throughout my day no matter what Thursday. If I stay home, I'll end up going live for that. If I don't stay home, then I'll end up going live for it, but out in the field. So, I wish you guys the best. Hopefully we can stay up to date on all these storms, and I'll let you guys know if anything new happens. See ya.